Hello and welcome back to the channel. You join me here moseying about Pacifica and the Glen in my first playthrough campaign, Cyberpunk 2077. The main story campaign runs about 15 to 20 hours, so it's pretty short. If you factor in completing around 80% of the side missions and the various gigs and objectives, you will end up at around 50 hours of playtime. Now, Cyberpunk has a pretty unique way of handling the post-main story gameplay, and I'm going to explore that with you today. You see, when you complete the main story following whichever ending path you choose, and don't worry, no spoilers here, you will end up back at the point of no return outside Embers before the final part of Act 3, and this can be a little confusing. In this video I'm going to explore the reasons why this has been introduced by the game makers, as well as discussing exactly what you can do and what you get up to once you're back at this point in the game. Let's talk first about why this happens. Again, no spoilers. Once you get far enough into the main story campaign, you will find yourself being asked to go and meet someone at Embers, which is a restaurant. And when you get to the building and try to walk through the door, a message pops up on the screen informing you that you are at the point of no return. What this means is you'll begin the final part of Act 3, and as such are forced to play through the final part of the story campaign without being able to return to Night City or anywhere else on the map until you've finished this part of the game. You will have some dialogue choices to make during the mission, as well as some contacts to reach out to, and this will determine your ending path. Whatever you choose here, you will end up completing the game one way or another, and once you reach the conclusion, you will find yourself back outside Embers, effectively having travelled back in time before the final act closes. So why does this happen? Well, this is CD Projekt Red's way of handling the level of immersion that it expects you to enjoy as part of the game. Whatever ending path you choose, you will invariably find your situation changing, shall we say, one way or another. Of course, the game makers understand that players may still have side missions and jobs to complete, and appreciate that being able to continue effectively in free mode is a smart way of allowing the players to continue roaming the map, spending their eddies and working towards trophies for those completionists out there in the community. It's worth mentioning that if you do choose to walk into Embers having not tied up any of the side missions and the story missions, some of these will be marked as failed, particularly if these missions are tied to the main campaign in terms of characters involved or choices that can be made. These will then be unavailable, and not completing these missions may force you into a certain ending path that doesn't require these missions to be completed. Anything unrelated to the end path and the story will still be available to come through. Putting you back at this point in the game gives you a chance to play through the ending again, and you can choose to do that exactly the same way as you've done it, or following a different story path. So how does this affect you as a player? Well, it's pretty weird at first. One minute you're involved in a really intense and meaningful ending that ties up his storyline and one way or another gives you and the player and the character the all-important closure that honestly you need. And then just like that, everything is reset and you're back where you were before the final act finishes. You still have Johnny's construct eating away at you, killing you slowly, and yeah, Johnny is still around too. Your contacts are still reaching out to you, and it seems like that you are back, not where you started, but at least everything is still up in the air. This is both good and bad. For the most part, this is manageable, and you can just go about your business and follow up your jobs and interact with characters. And large parts of the game are usually like this, and it's only when you get into a mission that's connected to the story then you start to see that the final act approach, and you feel the effects of the shard and what it's doing to you, and things start to get a bit dicey again. There is a slight anticlimactic feeling that makes itself apparent pretty much as soon as this happens, and probably why I started a new playthrough as soon as I got dumped back outside Embers, and only reapproached tidying up the final missions and continuing working with this original character about a week or so after playing the second playthrough for a while. And I'm now running both playthroughs simultaneously, and it's working quite nicely. I'm feeling already thinking about approaching a different playthrough, maybe a third one, and how that might work, and maybe even going back and trying to complete the game in a different way, following a different ending path. And that's a testament to really how good this game is. I realise that other people may have different views on this, and why not let me know in the comments how you feel about this approach and maybe how it's affected you. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you again soon.